Hey everyone, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. This is your daily news. I just want to have a chat with you about the markets, life, and what's going on. The first thing I think is important is what is going on with the interest rates. So my understanding is word on the street, they're talking about this is the Fed raising another 25 basis point and then probably going to pause. Inflation does seem to be cooling a bit. However, it is sticky and probably going to be around 5-ish%, something like that. I think core inflation came out at 5.6. One thing that I try to emphasize on this channel, and just want to emphasize again today, is I'm not freaking out all the time, mostly because I'm not overexposed. And what that essentially means is don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that is for anything. Because if you are, then you're like really stressing out about stuff. And I mention it that way because in today's market that we're in right now, it is extremely volatile and things can change in a hurry. And when they do, if you're overexposed, you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, for example, if you were to YOLO everything in Tesla and suddenly Elon Musk comes out and says, hey everyone, I'm stepping down as CEO, there's a huge panic because you're just not sure what to do because of uncertainty. And that's essentially the main sort of name of the game when you're talking about financial markets, managing your life, managing your money, etc., is manage your risk and manage it in a way to where you're not overexposing yourself to where then you're sort of your whole, livelihood, your whole life is based on, a couple different factors. You want to essentially put on a bunch of different things. And so then you're not tied to any one thing. I know I repeat it over and over, but it's really important to understand these concepts because I see so much of this bad culture out there on the internet that's all about YOLOing everything all of the time. Another thing I'm concerned about is commercial real estate. I've mentioned this several times on the channel, but the basic gist of it is that there's a lot of these people who own a lot of commercial real estate who are underwater and they can't find people to pay the rent, essentially. What's going on, as you guys know, is a lot of people are working from home. And once you tell people, hey, you don't have to come to the office anymore, and people go home, they do all the work, they can eat food at home, they don't have to commute, they save a ton of money that way, right? So that's essentially a pay raise for people. And then if you tell people, hey, I need you to come into the office, and you're like, well, I can do just fine at home. Why do you need me to come in? And that one cultural thing right there is massive in the commercial real estate market because it really hurts some of those big cities that have all those skyscrapers with, expensive corner office, stuff like that. And if people don't want to pay for said things, don't want to use them, then the commercial real estate people who are into this stuff, right, the developers, are out of luck. And so if they took big bets ahead of time thinking, oh yeah, commercial real estate will come back, they're really in trouble. So I think a big fault of our culture, and this could be with Silicon Valley Bank or the commercial real estate people, is that too many people bet on low interest rate environment forever. And it was easy to see that this goes in cycles. I say that easy to see because it does. For those of you who are old enough to remember, say, the dot-com bubble or the 08-09 crash, you would know things can go crazy. They can come right back down just as crazy. And essentially, if you knew when to get out, you're doing all right. I do understand, though, it's tough to time the market. It is tough. I can't perfectly time the bottom. I can't perfectly time the top. But what I can do, and this is why I go back to the diversification thing, is manage my risk. So, for example, if you're holding a bunch of cash, you're not worried. And yes, I understand there's that sort of, culture out there that says, oh, cash is trash, it's no good. Well, I was telling people last year that this is real, that interest rates are going to go up and your savings accounts / CDs aren't going to be so bad. Also, too, for those of you who, don't want to spend all day, every day, reading the news, these kind of things, you certainly can do index funds. You can do that. If you want to do individual stocks, yes, there will be opportunities in this market. I'll say, however, we're going into earnings season and it's going to be a wild show. So, my predictions, if I had to guess, what earnings is going to show, I think consumers are probably going to slow down. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen any particular evidence that says, yes, consumers are completely not going to spend any money at all. But I just feel like it's going to be coming because we do see it in terms of company news that they are laying off people. So, I'm watching this. I'm watching, what are layoffs doing? Are consumers spending or not? I'm also looking at debt levels of people. The other thing is the Ukraine war going to end anytime soon? It doesn't seem like it is, unfortunately. And I hate to say that because I thought that, maybe it would be over by now, that essentially the cost would be too great for Russia. But, we've talked about this before on the channel. Many people in comment, we say this is that something like, Putin, he just has this need to do this, a bit of pride, I guess you could call it. I'll win at any cost and we're going to burn everything down just because I don't want to admit defeat. I think that's a real problem that the world has to deal with. We also have the banking situation that may or may not be resolved. Now, obviously, Jamie Dimon, right over at JP Morgan, he's going to try to keep everyone calm. The banks and the government are also going to try to keep everyone calm as well. I just tell you the truth about these things. I don't know. But what I do know is that if you're under the FDIC limits, right, then you're going to be okay. You're not stressing out. And this goes back to diversification. And I try my best to just give you guys a real honest approach to these things. I really get it, though. I do YouTube every day. And your best bet, if you're a YouTuber, is tell everyone, hey, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Now buy my class to teach you how to protect yourself when the sky is falling, and you're going to be okay. The reality is that you're going to be fine if you manage your risk, right? You're going to be fine if you take the sure bet. So for me, and I want to repeat again, or if people have never seen this channel before, the sure bets, pay off your variable interest rates. Interest rates are still going to go up. They're not going to go down anytime soon, so get those paid off. 2, make sure you're secure in your job. 3, if you are going to be putting money in the market, you don't need that money right now, right? If you have a shorter horizon and you need that money, I wouldn't necessarily be putting stuff in there because it could get really, really hairy this quarter or maybe the next because we just don't know. There's a lot of instability. A lot of it has to do with all these things that I mentioned before, interest rates, right? Commercial properties, consumers, how our company's earnings going to come out, what's the war in Ukraine doing, all of these things. And that's sort of why we track the news all the time. And it's fun. And the other thing I will say, if you also do this channel, we have a great community, a lot of cool people here. We're just here to help each other and things like this. And more importantly, talk about all of the different things out there, not just any particular one thing. That's why you don't hear me make, a million videos every single day about Tesla. I always talk about Tesla because that is essentially the most popular stock among retail. And yes, you can make a great YouTube channel just talking about only one thing. But there are more things out there, and it would be really disingenuous and bad advice for me to not mention other options for you. So appreciate your time. Love to hear everyone's thoughts on these things, and I'll catch you in the next video.